Check the description for the following discount codes. Each of these wheel stands is currently £68 from the Rack-Ting website, a little bit less with my discount. Now, as a point of reference, because they are only wheel stands, you're going to think, well, they can't be that expensive anyway, Carl. You know, how cheap is £68 really, or probably nearer 60 quid with my little bit of money off. You can pay up to £250 if you want the Next Level Racing wheel stand DD. Now, yes, that is a much beefier, a much heavier, a much more solid wheel stand designed to be used with direct drive wheelbases. What we have here is the opposite end of that spectrum. But how do these compare to something like the Wheel Stand Classic from GT Amiga, which is in the region of, I think it's in the region of £100. You know what? I should have checked and I didn't. So let's have a quick look now to see exactly how much that is. I did check the price of the Next Level Racing Wheel Stand DD, but I didn't double check, quite stupidly, what the direct competitor to these will be. Classic wheel stand for sim racing. So currently $84.95, because of course there's a Black Friday sales on, and I have a discount off for this as well. So the classic wheel stand from GT Amiga, £20 more, give or take £1. Comes with a little bar there that you would slot your chair into. One of these has a similar function, that one there. So this is the direct competitor, as far as I'm concerned, from GT Amiga. £20 more. So for £20 less, which is quite a lot when we're talking about a product that's only 85, 90, 100 quid-ish pre-discount in the beginning, £20 less, big saving. But are you better off spending that 20 quid and going GT Amiga Classic, or will these do the job just fine? Now, there was no real assembly, so there's no build montage in this, because they fold away. So they came pretty much assembled. The only thing I had to add was the shifter mounts on each one, and this little sort of extended cup here that you'll put the wheel of your chair in. It's interesting because this one, which is, well, what are the names now? We can't actually see them on here. One's a 304, and they don't say it on the manuals either. One of them's a 304, one of them's like an 034 or something like that. Anyway, you can tell that you can see what the difference between the two is physically. But this one, name I can't remember, has the little cup to put the wheel, the caster wheel of your chair in that you're going to be using, whether that's an office chair or a gaming office chair. They're all basically the same. It doesn't have any pedal tray adjustment. You can adjust this all up and down. There's two thumb screws here and here. And I'll do a walk around briefly with both of them in a minute anyway. And you can adjust the angle of the wheel plate and it moves backwards and forwards. But no pedal tray adjustment. This one has pedal tray angle adjustment, but no rear cup to put your caster wheel in. It also folds down differently. This one concertinas up. In fact, I wonder if I may as well try and show you that now. I haven't actually done it yet, but I'm guessing, I think we literally just, yeah. I mean, that is like probably the fastest fold away I've ever seen. Obviously, if you're using the shifter mount, that is going to still be sticking out just like it is here. But most people probably going to be using paddles anyway, so not really an issue. But what do we do with that? Oh, and your little cup can just swing either one way or the other. Obviously, I haven't done any of this up tight yet because I haven't actually installed anything on it. But that's how that folds away, super quick, and how it unfolds. This one, you have to undo these thumb screws here. I'll show you a close-up of this mechanism in a minute. You don't have to undo them all the way, just enough for it to move, and then that will fold down like that. Now, the way I've got this extended, the shifter mount, is preventing it from folding any further. If I move it up, it can fold a little bit further like that, and then you could actually slide it back down again. At least, well, I thought you could. There we go. Whoop. Oh. Excuse me. That's my magnetic Mike just exiting my t-shirt. Let me just reapply that. This is going to be the most professional review you've ever seen me do, isn't it? We can already tell that. So that's how that one folds away. It doesn't really take, much longer than what the other one does. You just got to slacken off those screws, and then again to put it out. So this has angle adjustment. That's why those thumb screws are there. And again, I'll show you a close-up of that in a second and exactly how it works. It's a very simple mechanism. And of course it has height adjustment, just like that one does, and angle adjustment on there as well. So yeah, they are quite different. Like adjustable pedal tray angle, something to hook your caster wheel in, not on this one, this, not on this one, concertina fold up, this one with thumb screws for angle adjustment. So this has no angle adjustment for those sort of upright sections. Like, I don't know why they didn't kind of just put this onto here and just do the one wheel stand, because then you've got pedal tray adjustment, angle adjustment, something to put your caster wheel in, and it still folds down pretty easily, especially as they're exactly the same price. Interesting design choices. Anyway, I'll give you a quick peek at the manual of one of these. This is the whichever one it is. It doesn't actually tell me the model number in the manual. Pretty basic stuff, but then there's not a whole lot to it. As I said, the whole thing's come assembled, bar adding the shifter mount on, and in this case, the caster wheel cup. So that is all there is to it. They come with the appropriate tools to do this and to make other adjustments. So you get a couple of Allen keys, a little spanner, and you actually get a bag of nuts and bolts for fixing your wheelbase and pedals on as well. And the manuals do both say that they support everything from Logitech, Thrustmaster, Fanatic. It actually shows you, there it is, that's the page you want to see, shows you exactly where to put everything, what holes to use when mounting it. So that's quite a nice little touch. We will be bolting a CSL DD to one or both of them. I don't know if it's really worth testing both, because they're going to be kind of exactly the same performance. I mean, this, you might think this one has a little more rigidity because we've got these sort of supports here that this one doesn't have. But to be honest, I don't think that's going to make too much of a difference, because with a wheel stand, your rigidity is more limited by the fact that there's nothing stopping it from, rocking side to side. You've got a little bit of weight from your legs, on your pedal tray, but that's not enough, and I'll show this when I'm sat in one, so I'll probably just bolt the equipment to one and test it out. Let's do a little close-up walk around, and I'll show you a few things in detail more before I strap some gear to it and try it out. Little overview from the top of both of them. They both have exactly the same wheel plate, as you would imagine. No real need for them to be any different. They both have exactly the same shifter mount, and these shifter mounts are actually pretty decent. They're we've got 90-degree folds, and on the underneath they can be bolted either side, on here or over here, depending on which side of the world you're on, which side of the road you want to drive on, sorry. And there is a slight bit of angle adjustment. These are in kind of slots here. But yeah, for a cheap wheel stand, this is as solid as you can expect and as it kind of needs to be. Comparable to the GT Amiga Classic. Like I say, these are both the same. This one, though, weirdly, this is shorter than the one we have on here. Look, you can see that quite plainly even in the video. Maybe... No, I was about to come up with an idea as to why that might be. I have no idea why that is. That one's just quite a bit longer than what that one is. Not a clue. More strange design choices. So these wheel plates, you see all these sort of pre-drilled and countersunk holes. You can move this plate forwards and backwards, presumably to aid with accessing the correct bolts and getting it the correct distance from where you want to sit in relation to your pedals. And also, I would suggest, if you can, to always have this more centered, because that is going to make it a bit more rigid. Having the 4 fixing points kind of in the middle is going to give you a much more solid base for your steering wheel than having it how it's come, you know, out the box like this. Thumb screw here, slacken that off. That will allow this to twist up or down. You might want to do that when you fold it away, a bit like you do with the Play Seat Challenge. A couple of thumb screws here, and on the other side, allow this whole piece to slide in and out, as you see when I was folding that one away. Same mechanism. You saw how it folded as well, both of them. This is the pedal tray. It is exactly the same on both of them. It's just this one is mounted with an additional bar or box section here and some slots that allow you to adjust the angle of it, whereas this one does not. Speaking of things one does that the other doesn't, we have this, which is our caster wheel cup, I'm going to call it. You can adjust where this sits in relation to the wheel stand itself by undoing that and choosing the relevant hole that you need. And then of course you would do these all up tight. It's all just left loose at the moment for me. This, oh yeah, so angle adjustment on this one, which is what we don't have on this one. Thumb screws here and here, open slots this side. This bolt goes, this thumb screw goes all the way through into a captive nut that's actually in this piece of tube. Then what happens, if we just look over here for ease of demonstration, the thumb screw then just screws through and out the other side, and so you have to line it up with one of these 1, 2, 3 holes for your angle adjustment, and then when you fold it away, I'm guessing that's what this hole, this fourth hole at the bottom here is for, to enable you to kind of lock it in a folded away position. So that is pretty much everything. Same, obviously, configuration at the top here. This one has a couple of feet on the underneath at the back, whereas this one does not. Well, it does have feet, but they're just these red plastic things with a couple of black bits of rubber. Same as what you have at the front, and the same as what we have at the front on this one. So very basic wheel stands, but, you know, pre-drilled for all your major manufacturers. And I imagine, just like any cheap wheel stand, pretty much anything other than the Next Level Racing wheel stand DD, they're going to perform just fine with low torque, you know, wheelbases and non-load cell or you can use low cell pedals, which is what I'm going to be testing them with, but you probably want to calibrate it so you don't have to press terribly hard. You know, these are not the most solid of trays. There's no bracing this way or this way, but we do at least have folded 90 degrees either side, and in the case of this one, it is attached to an extra bar at the front and at the rear, so you'll get a bit of sort of flex in the middle. We shouldn't get too much anywhere else. Again, the biggest issue with these is the fact that they can, you know, wobble around if you're a bit aggressive. This one, on the other hand, of course, actually has what is effectively some bracing underneath, and that is our sort of folding mechanism that you see there. But again, it's not really going to be an issue. You know, the weakest point of a wheel stand is its inability to kind of hold its position because they're very light. So I think we're probably going to have two perfectly usable wheel stands for like 60 something quid, 60 quid, 62 quid, which is a bit of a no-brainer. So yeah, let's strap my Fanatics CSL-DD and pedals to one of these. I think I want to go with this one just for, actually, no, I should probably do that one because I want to see how well that little doobry works to keep my chair in place. My cat Ori's having a snooze over there, what she does most of the time. Hello, Ori. Right, anyway, enough waffle. Let's get some gear on this and give it a test. So normally we would do like a flex test for the wheel deck and the pedal tray in these sort of cockpit review type scenarios. But with a wheel stand, as I pointed out, there's no real point because the wheel stand itself, the whole thing will move really before you see any flex in where things are attached. This is actually one of the useful things about a wheel stand. Look, you can just rotate your chair and get in and out. So even with your feet resting on your pedals, that is not, you know, your feet, the lower half of your legs, they don't weigh much, right? So wheel stands will always wobble like this if you choose to do it. This isn't a problem with this wheel stand or that wheel stand. It's just wheel stands in general, okay? If you've never used them before. But let's have a look at what it's actually like in use. Because as you will see in this clip, there is far, far less movement and this again applies to any wheel stand you buy, not just these ones here, in use than what there is when you are synthetically, so to speak, demonstrating how wobbly it is and how much it moves for a video review. What it's like in use is actually, and this almost brought back nostalgia for me, because I went from a Logitech G920 clamped to my desk to a GT Amiga Classic wheel stand. I'm sure a lot of people progress this way. And it reminded me of those early days sat there. It was this very chair that I'm sat in fact, because I've had this chair for over a decade, I think. I really should change it. It was this, I believe it was this very chair. And so it just felt so familiar. Oh, actually, no, it wasn't this chair. I used a chair without wheels on because I did the GT Amiga Classic doesn't have anything to, or it does now, but back then it didn't have anything to put caster wheels in. So it wasn't this chair. But yes, the whole experience of using an entry-level wheel stand was very, very nostalgic for me and put a smile on my face just doing it. And I'm reminded once again how you don't need thousands of pounds worth of sim racing equipment to have great fun with sim racing. A 60 or 62 pound wheel stand like we have two of here in front of me today, with even a Logitech wheel bolted to it, will still give you hours upon hours of fun. Now, as you can see in the clip, this Fanatec CSL DD, it's direct drive and it's running at 8 Newton meters, right? I haven't turned it down for this video. It works just fine on this wheel stand. I would have no problem if someone said to me, Carl, do you reckon that wheel stand will take the 8 Newton meter DD? I'd be like, yeah, it will, no problem at all. Go for it, strap it to it. It works just fine. And as you've just seen in the clip, it absolutely does. What actually impressed me is the pedal tray. And if you look now, I can actually press pretty hard on that brake pedal and there's nothing really moving. I don't know whether it's just the way it's sat there or the rubber feet gripping the carpet combined with my chair being sat in the little cup for the caster, but you know, I can tip my chair back obviously out of the cup, but when you're holding onto your steering wheel, I can actually put pretty good amount of force on that brake pedal, which impressed me. I didn't think I'd be able to. And there's no real flex in the pedal tray because you can't put that much force on it. The chair would lift up first, but that works surprisingly well. So I think, like, obviously we've got two wheel stands here. That one over there doesn't have the caster attachment. And as I mentioned a minute ago, I couldn't use a chair with casters on with my GT Amiga Classic wheel stand back in the day because there's nothing stopping it just sliding backwards. So I think my preference out of the two, even though it's the same wheel deck, it's the same pedal tray, it's the same tubular construction, like identical tubular construction. The only difference is this has a caster support. And I said earlier, that one has adjustable pedal angle. This also has adjustable pedal angle. I just didn't realise it at the time. All you have to do is grab the pedals and just lift them up and they click into place. One notch at a time. So you do have adjustable pedal angle. And how easy is that to do as well? See now, of course, now we've got Flex City on the back half of the pedal tray. But with a wheel stand, you wouldn't necessarily, I can't think why you'd actually want your pedals tilted up at this angle, because the driving position is not like suitable for that level of pedal angle, in my opinion. It might be that your pedals particularly are reclined maybe and you would, but with these ones, the Fanatec CSL pedals, you definitely wouldn't. But yeah, in this configuration, look, of course it's flexing back, but again, it's a 60, 62 pound wheel stand, absolutely fine. You're not expecting much, are you? So to reset the position, you do have to bring it all the way up as if you were folding it away and then put it back down like that. But that is how I would use it, as you just see in my driving clip. And in that instant, there's like no flex at all. The wheel stand dips a little bit into the carpet. So I really think either of these wheel stands are perfectly good, but I'd probably recommend this one because you can put your caster in this little cup here. Now, the only thing I haven't yet done that I will do now is have a look at what it's like to fold away with sim racing equipment on. Now, CSL DD is actually quite long in its configuration. I'm obviously with this, I can take the wheel off to give us a little bit of clearance. You might say that's kind of cheating, because if you've got something that you can't remove the wheel, that isn't really a fair demonstration. But then, to be honest, anything you've got where you can't remove the wheel these days is going to be a very small wheelbase, like a Logitech G920, for example. Even the entry-level Thrustmaster stuff, or not entry-level, mid-range, you can remove the wheel for. But anyway, let's just see what it's like to do. So it is, as we saw, that bloody magnetic. Sorry, guys. It's useful because it just goes under my t-shirt. But if I go near anything steel, as you saw earlier, it just pulls towards it. It's quite a strong magnet. Anyway, you would fold this up like that. And the only real issue I'm seeing here is what to do with this little caster cup. Because in the way I've got it adjusted, it's actually sticking out quite far. That's not going to work. I think what I would have to do, if we can unfold it again, because it can't, like, you can't remove it, so it's going to pop out the bottom. I think the best thing to do is just undo that thumb screw. Doesn't add too much time to the fold away, and then fold it up like that. Now obviously you can also undo these thumb screws here and lower it down if you really need it to be like super compact. And in fact, even if we had our steering wheel attached, look, still got no issues. And you can then go a step further, slacken this off, and fold it right over like that. Obviously unplugging the pedals from their USB. So that would be your folded away configuration. Could we leave the wheel on there? Oh, I'm going to put it on, just to show you. I think we can. I reckon there's the clearance. We're on. Yeah, so even with that, which is quite a long wheelbase, steering wheel to wheelbase is quite lengthy, that actually folds away quite nicely. Like I say, I'd probably lose this shifter mount unless you're an absolute H-pattern fanatic, and then you've got a really compact wheel stand. The only issue, of course, is, like I said a minute ago, and like I demonstrated, you have to remove the little caster cup, because otherwise it's in the way. But that is only a thumb screw, so it's not that much hassle just to put it back on there on the hole you want and just do it up like that, and then you'll, obviously put this to whatever angle you want and height, and then you're good to go. So I actually think these are going to get a strong recommendation because they are no money. And when you're paying no money for something, you expect like almost nothing for it. And what we're actually getting here is a very quick fold away mechanism, some angle adjustment on the pedals, a nice little caster cup, and overall a very solid 8 Newton meter capable wheel stand. And I think if we look at the other one here, which is essentially, as I say, same pedal tray, same wheel deck, same tubular uprights, same shifter mount. All they've done is change the way this secures to be able to give you angle adjustment and give you different angle adjustment here. They're both going to work just as well as each other, but this one doesn't have a caster cup like this one does. So I think my preference, because most people who have office style chairs have casters, my preference is probably this one. I didn't find the lack of independent angle adjustment for these uprights to be an issue, because you can adjust the angle your steering wheel's at, you can slide them in and out to get the height just right, you can move your chair back and forward to get that just right, and you can angle the pedals should you need to. This one just has 3 positions you can choose from, and one of them is actually like pretty much upright, which I don't think anybody would use, like, unless you got, I don't know, maybe, well actually perhaps for a child, you might want that upright, and then this slid all the way down, and then their chair brought in, really quite close, but it isn't going to work with a caster wheel chair. And you can't just, Hold on a minute, Carl. So you can hook your caster over this bar at the back there. There's no adjustment like there is here, and that's interesting because I actually started out 3 holes further out and gradually moved it further and further in to get where I want it to. So this one doesn't have adjustment, but you can at least, see, this is such an interesting choice, isn't it? Look, you can't adjust where the caster sits, but you have got 3 angle adjustment, 3 positions for this, which you don't have on this. So that kind of balances out not being able to adjust the caster distance. And then you can still adjust the height independently by sliding this in and out. So they're both, they're both pretty much the same from a functionality point of view. I don't know. If you want a wheel stand, you could buy this or you could buy this. And I think for 60 to 62 quid, you can't really go wrong. If you want a wheel stand that you then might want to add a rear section to turn it into a full cockpit, yes, ignore these. Go look at the GT Amiga Classic and Apex. They both have optional rear halves that you can add on, and then you can add a proper racing seat as well. One of their fabric ones would be my recommendation because the PU leather just makes you sweat on a hot day. I hate that stuff. Anyway, these are pretty decent for almost no money. Discounted link in the description. As always, thank you very much for watching and take it easy.